And we are back. Oh my goodness. I've got to talk about what I just got done playing, which was Mad Max. Um, Mad Max was made by Avalanche Studios, of course, published by Warner Brothers Interactive. Pretty much the same as in, I mean, the gameplay really technically is the same as Shadows of Mordor or Arkham Knight, the same combo reversal system. You have your main story and your side quests, sort of the same as you have in Assassin's Creed. Although I still think Assassin's Creed does the variety and scope of those missions a little better than Arkham and what Shadow of Mordor did. But let's not nitpick. Let's talk about the actual game itself. Okay, so the game itself, we'll go and break it down by what I usually do, which will be, so I don't start on graphics. So let's just talk about the graphics altogether, because those who have seen some of my older reviews know that I tend to stick away from the graphics, because graphics shouldn't count these days. We're on next generation, where it's 2015, 2016, 2017. Everything from this day on, graphics really shouldn't matter. Graphics are either going to be fantastic or they're just going to be mediocre. Okay? What I care to focus on is the environment. So does the world that they created for Mad Max actually bring you in and envelop you in to the game? Yes. The attention to detail, and yes, it's a wasteland of old buildings and sand and wind and dirt and rust. It's the little things about this world that really make this shine, and that's the scavenging locations. When you go into old abandoned churches, it's just the little things. Like, there's a scavenging location that you go into when you're in the dunes, and you get into it, and it's the top of a house, and then you climb down the ladder, and in the ladder is you're in the house, and in this house is a kid's room with actual drawings on the wall. In the kitchen, there are like leftovers, canned stuff that's been sitting there. There's a skeleton in the bathtub, bunk beds, stairs, pictures. It's these little touches that show you that there's a post-apocalyptic world, and that the world that has been built on top of it is sad and decrepit. The airplane hangar, the Underdune, fantastic level for me. And I do consider it a level, even though it's open world. I still consider that a level. I just think all in all, the detail to the cars, the detail, I mean, it's Mad Max, so the detail of the cars is what's really important. But the overall world that you drive in and you do your stuff in, yes, I feel like it is a wasteland of nothingness that people are just despair and trying to get everything together. Now, it's nothing fantastic like Assassin's Creed, of where it's a whole city, or Batman Arkham Knight, or Arkham City that just came out, or Arkham Knight, whatever you want to call it. Those are buildings and metropolises and stuff like that. Like Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, I don't think you can beat Grand Theft Auto. That's a world. That is a world. Assassin's Creed, when they recreate a whole city, fantastic. I just think that for this game, the Mad Max game, they capture the environment fantastically. Okay, so graphics, quote unquote, which is for me, it's world and atmosphere. They created it fantastically. Next, let's go to the actual story / acting. The story, the main story, and there are some side stories, but the main story itself, the main story that involves Mad Max and glory and hope, and of course the son of Immortal Joe. It was Mad Max. It was really good. It was fantastic. The acting, I feel, was on par. I think that the motion capture that they did for the actual performances of them people, if you actually pay attention to the characters, fantastic. It's their little nuances, you know, the acting. They weren't just delivering their lines, they were acting, and it was fantastic. It was really good. The story itself, man, the story was a little dark. The story got dark, but Mad Max is set in a dark time. I mean, if you watch the new movie that just came out, it was really good. It was really good, but it was despair, and that's the way it is. If you were to lose everything, if we were to actually lose everything that we had, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, people killing, raping, pillaging, murdering. I'm not going to give any spoilers away about the story if you haven't played all the way through, or if you haven't watched my whole playthrough. Man, the story is really good, and it ends pretty much the way you think it should end for Mad Max. He's a loner, man. He's given up. He's partly crazy. Yeah, partly. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, the man's crazy. Yeah. So anyway, the story itself, the side characters, I don't think I had any problem with any of the side characters. Chumbucket really good. Glory really good. All the stronghold characters I thought were really good. I didn't see any weak links in the acting, really. I can't remember. There's a character that you have to fight that has these two blades. His face is all jacked up. I cannot remember his name right now, but that was a good performance by him for sure. So story wise and main story, fantastic. Side missions, we'll talk about the side missions. A ton of side missions, plenty of stuff to do, from gearing up your car to doing the strongholds to doing the camps to finding history relics. It really, some people don't like as much side mission stuff, but I thought they had plenty to do in the game. It wasn't that short. It was a long game. I probably could have put more time in on it if I wanted to. I didn't do all the death run stuff. But all in all, content wise, as in things to do, missions wise and stuff, packed in there, not as much, like I'm gonna say this right now, not as much as like Assassin's Creed, because they pack a lot of side missions in theirs, but still a lot to do. Now let's get to, I played this on PS4. I played this on the PS4. Let's talk about the controls. Let's talk about the controls. And then after the controls, I'll go into some negative stuff I had about the game. The controls, I love the controls half the time, and the other half, they just grinded my nerves. The counter, you really have to, when you're fighting, this isn't like Batman or Shadow where you can stop in the middle of, if you're doing a heavy punch, you can't just counter. If somebody's coming and you're in the middle of a heavy punch or a chain finisher, chain combo, you're not going to block the dude. I mean, you may, but I highly doubt it. If you're in an animation, this game will not stop it. You have to play smart. If you're surrounded by 5 guys, you have to take your time. You have to jab, jab, jab. And then after you get a couple left and you have room, then you can start doing your heavy hitter punches. Okay, your strong attacks. There was a lot of times when I just was going willy-nilly and I still got punched a couple times. The other thing is sometimes in the fighting is if they're hitting you and you see, like on mine it was triangle. If they're too far away, you'll hit triangle and you won't stop them. They'll just, you'll just miss and you'll interrupt your whole combo. I didn't like the fact that sometimes the controls, the refuel. So if you have a gas can, you can refuel your car. You have to get gas. The button for refuel and ignite are the same. And if you walk up to the back of your car and you're not in the position you need to be, instead of refueling, I set that bitch on fire. That's just, it's just the way it is. I didn't mean to do it. That's the buttons. So you really had to pay attention to that and really had to, just go slow sometimes in the controls. You couldn't go that fast, which is fine. It's a small gripe. It's a small gripe. You just take your time on the important stuff. Fighting, you're supposed to be taking your time anyway. Shadow of Mordor, man, I could be fighting 100 guys and I easily beat them because as soon as I hit the counter, it'll counter. I don't have to be doing anything. Where in Mad Max, you actually have to pay attention to the way you fight. So technically on their part, that was kind of smart. Kind of smart for Mad Max. So let's talk about some of the negatives I had with the game, like negative parts. On the PS4, I had frame rate issues when I get too close to the convoys. So say I'm over here in a camp, trying to get a camp liberated or raided. If I know a convoy's gonna come, I can tell because when I'm fighting and stuff, it starts to slow down. See what I'm saying? So that was a problem. Frame rate issues a couple of times. I mean, not all the time, but it was certain areas of I think around Pink Eye stuff is when it really was a big deal. I don't really remember it in Jeet Stronghold or Gut Gashes, but once I got up to Pink Eyes, I noticed some frame rate issues up there. So, which is weird because in Gastown, that's like a whole dump area. I didn't really have any frame rate issues there. It's weird. I don't know. I think it's just because all the area. I don't know. Another, I guess, a bad thing that I had with the game itself. Sometimes the save files loading would be a little slow. Like I'd hit resume game, and it would take it a little while. It would take it. Like I know once I waited 5-10 minutes, and I had to like cut it off and come back into it, and it was fine. So I had some save file issues. They weren't corrupt. It was just loading. And this was around the beginning of the game. I think I put about 4 or 5 hours in. And then I came out. And then I wanted to come back and play some more. And then it had trouble loading. But I think that was just some preliminary stuff that they had. I think after after a day or so after launch, I think it was fine. There are lots of things that I did appreciate about this game. The one of the things I hate, like especially in open world games when you get like this, is that they have the mandatory stealth missions or they have like escort missions. And thank goodness there were none of those in here. Thank you. I hate when I have to go on a mission and it makes me do it a certain way, even though I know I can do it a different way. And it fails you for that. If you're not completely stealth the whole time, or, you know, it's like, only use this toothpick to kill everybody, and you just don't use the toothpick, and then, you know, or what, you know, insert tool here. So that was really good. The different cars and their driving abilities, some were a little more slick than others. I did appreciate that. I mean, it's not Gran Turismo, it's not Forza, you know, but you could tell the difference depending on what cars that you had. So that was pretty cool. I did enjoy the different car types. But it's Mad Max, so it should be. You know, one thing that really I don't understand, and I know a lot of people have problems with Uplay. I personally don't have much problems with Uplay. I use Uplay. I like that they try to reward you and keep all their games together. I mean, depending on, you know, if I put like 40 hours into Black Flag and I get the new game, it'll automatically reward me with some extra stuff because I have points. And I personally like that. A lot of people gripe that they don't want to have you play, and that's your personal, you know, if that's what you want, then that's fine. With Warner Brothers, like when this last Batman came out, Arkham, they actually gave you some free stuff for signing into Warner Brothers. That was cool. We got some skins. They weren't the best skins in the world, but they were, you know, it's skins. This time I signed in with Mad Max, I still haven't seen anything. It says sign in for extra stuff. I don't see any extra stuff. The Rockstar Energy car. Okay, it's in the game, but does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. There's nothing. I didn't even, I think I used the car to race and I got the car and that was it. The one thing, and that was another thing about Mad Max though. I mean, they had all these different cars you could collect, but you really didn't need them. Other than the death runs and the races, you didn't really need them. So, I mean, I tried to do all the death runs, and I was finally like, I'm done. I did all the other. I got all my history relics 100%. Um, all my archangels, everything else was 100%. I just didn't finish the death runs because, you know, it I didn't really care to finish it, but all in all, I think Mad Max is a terrific game. Holiday season, of course, is coming up. I would get it just for the story if I were you, and to play it. The problem is like it come out with the same time as Metal Gear. It's just a different type of game. Metal Gear is more of a stealthy, um, covert type of game. Okay, it is a longer game. Mad Max is just an in-your-face beat 'em up, muscle car mayhem. Don't get attached to the story, the characters in the story, and the story is kind of dark, but fantastic story, great storytelling. Some of the cutscenes, the storytelling wise, fantastic, almost movie quality. The way that they were just telling the story and the different camera angles and what they were using as metaphors, oh, so good. And then of course, the game itself, I just enjoyed playing as Mad Max. I really did, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you played it, I hope that you had a good time like me. There's been on Steam, there's a lot of overwhelmingly positive reviews. If you haven't played it, even GameFly it or go to Redbox, just get it and see if you like it. I think it'll grab you. But all in all, thank you for watching. As always, I'm here if you guys have any questions or want to talk about anything. Thank you for, just even stopping by or even giving this a minute of attention. I can't thank you enough for that. And have a great time playing. No matter what game you play, whatever the game is, just put your heart into the game, man, because they made it for you to enjoy. And if you were growing up like I did on Nintendo, these games, thank you. That's all I gotta say. A lot of people are spoiled these days and saying like, oh, it's got this and the graphics aren't that good. You know what? Play Atari Pac-Man for a while and then move on to Nintendo and then see why this is so awesome. This is so